Hi everyone, Miss Cruz here. So in this tutorial, I'm just kind of going to break down the resources that we have here for you. So if you're writing your draft and you get stuck, you have an idea of what to do. If you already know exactly what you want to do for your draft and you feel like you can do it without even listening to the tutorial, by all means, you can click the Memoir draft and just start drafting. But let me quickly go over, we created a PowerPoint for you. So let's quickly go over what the PowerPoint is. So it can show you, the purpose of the memoir, what are the things that it entails, and what you're going to be trying to do. So for this memoir, the first slide shows that it's a memoir draft and it's 528. Now, synthesizing the concept of today's lesson with the draft is that you're putting all of the parts together to form a coherent whole. In other words, you're putting all the different pieces together that make that memoir, that make that moment that was so significant in your life. These are characteristics of a memoir. So when you're writing a draft, you need to make sure to have these things inside of it. One, it's a memory of a true past event. So what you're writing about is true of something that's happened in your life. You're focusing on one event or time within your life. Okay, it's written in first person. It reveals your feelings so you can really make sure you delve into how it felt at that moment or building up to the moment. It has meaning and shows what the author learned and how the author changed from the experience. That's going to go to the theme lessons that we've been working on this week. You're going to talk about your experiences more than just the event itself. So, for example, my example is about how I met my birth family. Me meeting my birth family is the end of my memoir. It's only like 3 or 4 paragraphs toward 2 to 3 paragraphs towards the end. But my memoir is about 3 pages long because I'm talking about all of the events and experiences that led to that specific moment. And then I'm teaching the lesson of what I've learned. Okay, and then it teaches the reader about who the writer is as a person. So, one of the lessons that we had done 2 weeks ago was to think about the different scenes that we were going to be writing about. So, scene 4 says, I'm meeting my birth family. However, it's not the only thing that I'm writing about. I'm writing about the scenes that led up to it. So, the first scene I talk about is when I was driving in the car with my sister, who brought up meeting our birth family. Then the next scene is me agreeing to meet the birth family and asking our mom to join us. Then the third scene is arriving in the Philippines and finding out new information. And then the last scene, scene 4, is meeting my birth family. Now, if you're someone who needs examples, the last few slides of this PowerPoint will give you examples of those 3 scenes. That's why those are bolded. But before I do that, this slide will show you ways that you might expand on that moment. You should use dialogue, you should use inner thinking, you should use revealing action, and you should use description. When you're using dialogue, you're thinking, what are the characters saying? When you're using inner thinking, you're thinking about you. How are you feeling in this moment? When you're using revealing action, you're talking about how you or other characters react to what's going on in the scenes. And then you're going to use description to describe the moment, talking about how it felt, what it looked like, what it tasted like, what it smelled like, all of those things. By this point, we've done a lot of that thinking, which is why we're ready to go into the draft. Now, here's my explain example. My first scene, I'm talking about driving in the car with my sister, who brought up meeting our birth family. And if you noticed, I used a lot of dialogue in this scene. And so I'll just read it to you quickly so you can get an idea of how you might want to use yours. My sister Lonnie was driving the car, pondering intently. She suddenly turned with concerning eyes and says to me, I've been doing some thinking. Okay, Ednalyn, she says with concern. It's not often my sister gives such a look. The moment seemed a bit tense, silent, yet serious. So right there, I used some dialogue, but also description and what it sounded like and felt like in that moment. I'll just come out right away and say it. I'm thinking of trying to find my birth family. What do you think? Will you join me? Lonnie said as she took a breath. Whoa, I thought to myself. So here I'm reacting to what she says. I'm using inner thinking. Whoa, I thought to myself. Talk about coming out of left field. Both my sister and I were born from the same country, the Philippines. However, we both come from different families. Though we share no blood, our hearts have grown together, and as far as we are concerned, our family is the only family we know. So if you notice, I'm giving dialogue, but I'm also giving how I'm feeling in the moment, and I'm also using some description. So as you write, you want to kind of mesh everything together. What made you decide that, Lonnie? I asked. Well, I've been wanting to know where I come from for a long time. Don't you ever wonder what it's like over there? If your family misses you? Lonnie said as she continued to concentrate on the road in front of her. I looked down and thought to myself, nope, never. Well, I began. I've always been under the impression that since I was a dying baby and third-degree malnourished, that I would be lucky if my family was still around. I mean, think about it. I was dying. My birth mother had no choice but to give me up. How could she even have a family afterwards? Some things, I guess, are just better left alone. If that's how you feel, but would you join me? No one else would understand this experience more than you. Since both of us have the same family experiences, I would like you to be there with me when I meet them, Lonnie responded. I was shocked that my sister would allow herself to be vulnerable with me. I really didn't have much of a choice. How could I possibly say no? I thought to myself. Then I wondered, if I'm already going there to find my sister's family, I guess I might as well try to find mine. So I'm going to go back to the slide before. As you notice, I used dialogue and inner thinking. I used all of these things interchangeably as I was writing. So when you're writing, try to do that. Say some stuff, but add extra in it and make each scene long by using these different types of craft moves. Okay? And then I'm going to read to you. I'm not going to read the whole part because I know that you guys want to get into your writing. But then this next part, arriving in the Philippines and finding out new information. I really use a lot of description here, so I'm just going to read that to you quickly to show you how you might use description to really describe a scene. What? I don't understand, I yelped. Well, she doesn't want the birth father to be found. She refuses to give us the name. But we did find her, and your half-sibling, Diana, continued. What? I repeated. Wait a second, I pondered. How is this possible? All this time, I've lived my life thinking my birth family didn't even exist. By the time they gave up, I was third-degree malnourished and almost dead. Now I come to find that not only was I given up, but then she continued on and had an entire family, 3 other children of whom still lived with her. I thought to myself. Suddenly, a rush of panic rushed through my veins. It felt like a strong current taking over calm waters. Before long, I would be meeting my birth family, and I felt like the world as I knew it was crumbling down. I should have never done this, I thought to myself. Before this lunch, I was not nervous at all, but now I felt like this was a mistake. So again, you're going to use this PowerPoint to kind of get some ideas out. And then once you're ready, you're going to go back into the assignment and you're going to hit draft memoir. You are now going to, in these directions, you'll put your name at the top. You'll put the date. Actually, tomorrow's going to be the 28th. And then these are directions. Again, these are the directions of using the PowerPoint, the video tutorial to help, and then thinking about the memoir, at least 3 to 5 important scenes, making sure to stretch them out using dialogue, inner thinking, revealing actions and description, and then using the images below to help you expand your scenes in your memoir. Once you're ready, right here where it says begin writing draft here is where you can cross this out and then start writing your draft. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to contact any of the 3 teachers.